computer. Welcome to our monthly webinar series. This one we're focusing on Nordic skiing. So I know a lot of you athletes are trying to get out in with nature, get some of the kilometers in skiing, which is great. So we thought this was pretty timely. And we're lucky to have Bill Trayling join us and lead the conversation. I think many of you probably know Bill. Bill is a former national team athlete for many years, involved in the club system for many years, head coach of Mississauga for I think about 7-8 years, and a coach there for a number of years. One of my first bosses in the system. And then, recently Bill's done a ton of work for Ontario in the coach education side or coach mentoring side, as well as helping clubs, the development of clubs. So aside from the great stuff that Bill does on the water, he's actually a pretty good skier, pretty good teacher. And so we're going to use all that knowledge and background to talk about skiing. I know some paddlers are extremely great skiers and some are just getting into it. So there's probably all levels on this call. And that's great. And the idea is just to try and up level our knowledge, and hopefully you can use that information to go pound some kilometers. Other than that, Bill, I'll let you run the way you see fit. And again, I want to thank everyone that joined, and especially Bill for taking his time to do this session with us. So thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Ryan. And yes. I was fortunate to have someone show me something I could do for my aerobic capacity that wasn't running. I was a pretty strong guy. So a high school teacher, math teacher of mine, saw me one day out running, and he's like, there's something you can do, and it's more fun than running. And I said, what? And this is back in the 80s. And he said, cross-country skiing. So he dragged me up to this little tryout at Medonte. And he's like, I finished the thing and did pretty good. And it was classic skiing. So double pole. I rented this stuff, 3-pin bindings. He's like, what sport do you do? Because I was Mr. Bench Press, and I told him I paddled, and the rest is history. I raced in high school for a couple of years, did a couple of OFSAs, and showed up at OFSA with the Olmsted sisters there and some other paddlers and that would show up, and rowers, and I just kept going. And then a guy named Chris Kautsky and I, who I trained with and had a lot of fun with, we decided to try this skate skiing thing in the early 80s. Maybe mid to late 80s, and we went up to Hardwood Hills and we got our clocks cleaned in this little race. And actually, Kevin, I was training at Micmac. So my first ski race officially as a non-high school guy was registered as Micmac AAC. And I remember writing it on the little the sheet of paper in the Quonset hut at Hardwood when they had a gravel floor, and it was just one little metal hut there. And that's, a long time ago, but I've been skiing ever since, and really enjoying the sport. And it's a phenomenal activity, just in and of itself. But it's also, and if you look at skate skiing and you look at the way that the pressure on the poles and the way we move and the rhythm, there's a lot to be learned for paddling as well. In rhythm, obviously there's a strength piece. It's very, very high, high aerobic output when you're climbing. And it's a very technical sport. So it's very similar. So similar, in fact, we've got some famous, can anybody name the famous Canadian paddler who raced at 2 Olympics in? Hell, you don't count.
Sue
Holloway.
Yeah, Sue Holloway. Yeah, so she raced both Olympics in '76. And John Wood was a really, really good cross-country skier, provincial level. And I'm sure there's others. I mean, there are others who have been really good skiers and really good paddlers as well. I think of John Armstrong out of North Bay, Scotty Bruff, the Olmsteads, they're like, so it's something that, if you develop this sport as a paddler, and I'm looking at Cormac right now across the top, and you're in high school, you can, when COVID's all over, you got something you can do on the school team. And people will ask you, like, what do you do? You're crushing everybody that skis. And you're like, I'm a paddler. So anyway, tonight what I want to do, rather than telling stories, is really entertain questions. Okay, I've got I didn't really know what I was going to get. We're obviously not on snow. I was going to put on spandex, but no way. And maybe answer some questions, inspire you to go out, show you a couple videos, but really respond to the group that's here about skiing. And if, and I know we've got an opportunity coming up with Ryan running his weekend camp, one in Ottawa, one in the Horseshoe area, so that we can get going and skiing. And I've just loved being part of those camps and introducing a lot of beginners to skiing. And it's one of those sports that anyone can do at a beginner level, but you can always improve. And that's the other thing. As you're working on your skiing technique, it will help you become a better learner of technical sport, which is going to help you be a better paddler as well. So what have I got here in terms of experience? If you were to say beginner, let me just change my view here because I'm seeing myself way too big. There we are. So I'll run through the group, okay? And tell me if you're like beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Cormac, what do you think?
I don't know. I did the ski camp last year, and I've been doing a little bit this year, but I don't know. I'd probably say I'm a beginner, but I don't know. Okay.
But you can move on skis. Because some beginners, Jillian Perrone, the only person in my life that I did not get moving on skis, right? It's now she's putting out fires, but if you can move on skis, I'd say you're, moving past that beginner into the intermediate stage. Mr. Stein, what's going on? What do you?
I would call myself a beginner.
Okay.
I've only done the ski camp.
Yeah, that's fine. Stefan, what do you think? So I'm looking for Stefan. Yes.
Yeah.
Beginner.
Well, I've been skiing a lot, but mostly downhill skiing throughout. So before the academy, throughout the academy, and after.
Yeah.
Because that was a very lower body, But I tried the downhill on the sit ski. I tried the cross country. That's really my thing. So.
Okay. So have you done the sit ski in the camp? I think I recall.
For the cross country.
Yeah, the cross country sit ski.
Yes.
Yeah,
I went for that. Yeah.
That is hard. That is hard. I know. I have given that a shot, and it is really tough. Mr. Hellier, I know you can ski.
It's getting slower and slower.
Well,
probably intermediate.
No
I remember.
you've got to find some slower people to go with, right? And then it makes you feel good, right? When you're waiting at the top of the hill.
That's what I do for paddling.
K-Mac.
I'd say I'm a pretty solid intermediate.
There you go.
I haven't been out for a few years, just getting the skills back right now.
I heard that you're out today.
Fitness is more the issue.
Yeah. Evan, you live in the land of skiing, so I've done a couple offices up there. So what about you?
Yeah, I'd probably say about a beginner. Like I started this year, so.
Nice. That's good. That's good. Ryan, how good are you?
I'm great for a big guy. How's that?
Yeah, Clydesdale.
Always.
Yeah, that's good. That's
I
good.
think I could beat Pat. That's the.
Yeah. Is Mihail there? Mihail, we got the big M here. Are you a rock star skier or
beginner? Just started this season, but
there
I'm
you go.
getting better.
Well, and you live in a great place. Again, I've done an offs up there at North Bay Nordic, and you got some great skiers around you too.
I am living at the Olmsted,
Yeah.
like Nancy's dad house.
Yeah. Charlie, yeah, great, legendary. Ingrid?
Yeah, hi. I have done decades of classic, but really aspirational in dabbling in skate skiing in the last couple of years. Man, the energy demand, oh my Lord, don't be doing that when you're like several decades old.
Yeah. Well, I've seen people start at many different ages. And again, it's like paddling, right? You can, you've just got to take it slow. I mean, that's the thing a great ski coach friend of mine says when I've done my certification, got a guy named Gord Salt. You got to go slow to go fast. So that's a hard one for me, but I do work on that. So we've got Lisa. Lisa, you've just joined us. Did you hear the question? We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry.
There you are.
Sorry, technical problem.
So
yeah, no, I was on.
Okay.
I've skied more this winter, I guess, just because the downhill ski hills are closed.
Yeah, it's been a good promotion.
Yeah. So and the 16-Mile Creek is nice and frozen right now. So
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely. I mean, I can go through the
move.
motions, but I'm definitely a beginner. But on my 30-year-old equipment.
Nice.
Good.
Hey, it still works. David Bentley, what do you think? Excuse me. I see a picture of David on the beach.
Yeah, I'm with Carlton Place, and I'm hoping to help Pat coach his crew in skiing. I'm a ski coach, the local club
nice.
here, so I'm hoping I can hand off some of that knowledge. And I'm an intermediate paddler.
There you go. Well, David may take over tonight because, I always said I'm a coach that coaches skiing, but I know what a ski coach is because I've listened to and learned from some of the great ski coaches. Primarily in this area. Guys named like Jack Sassville and Andrew Doble and lots of really good people. Again, like I mentioned, Gord Salt, who was out of Orangeville for years, and he's up at Highlands now. And just learned whatever I could from guys like Mac Hickox, who coached some OFSA champion skiers and is a former head coach at Mississauga. And so, Pat Lester, how good are you?
I'd say I'm in the intermediate range, and credit to Ryan, he does move very well for a big guy, but I still think I can take him. I believe in myself.
That's good. That's good.
But capable skier, but the technical side, like David said, like I've got access to David, which is great. But the technical side is really what I'm looking to improve on.
And Helen, do we have a skier in this athlete that?
Hi, Bill. I'm pretty good with classic, but before my cardio wasn't be good. However, this year, Dmitry and we started to do ski every Saturday and Sunday from November. And right now, every Saturday and Sunday, I do around 12K. And my husband, Dmitry, he's doing skating. And classic, he's skating. Last time for time control 10K, I lost just 3 minutes, 55 minutes.
Wow.
3 minutes, 55 seconds. Yes, it's great.
That's pretty good.
Beat me 3 minutes only before it was 6.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That's really super. And it's great to see you're competing, right?
Helen.
Helen,
Helen, does this mean Dimitri's hip is good?
Yes, he's pretty good.
Excellent.
Yeah, and he was good. He's still, he was good. Good. He's back.
That's awesome.
Good.
So that's a good smattering. It looks like, you know, other than our ski coach, that we have an intermediate kind of beginner group. And again, that's good that, you know, it seems like, you know, we got a couple of rock stars. We got people that have primarily done classic skiing that are good at that. I am going to focus tonight on the, I mean, I can answer classic questions. Like I said, I ended my classic skiing pretty well at the end of my high school career. And, you know, although I was waxing with a cork and doing all sorts of crazy stuff back then, I'm still aware because my daughter skied with hardwood and I was doing some wax tech stuff there. So I'm by no means a waxing expert, you know, I'm basic, but I do love to play with that because it's an art. And as David will say, but you know, any of the questions, anything that doesn't come up tonight, you know, I can direct you towards, you know, obviously David's here and there's some other people too that can take this further. I'd love to show you, because so many people think that skiing is not cool. So I want to show you something.
We don't have the volume, Bill.
Is that cross country?
Bill, is this what you're going to teach us to do today?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Did you say you cannot hear the volume?
No, we couldn't hear the volume.
There you go. All right, so that is, I got it playing in the background still. There we go. So did you say you could not hear the volume on that?
Yep.
That may, could anybody hear a little bit of volume?
I couldn't.
No, Bill, you'd have to, there's a button you'd have to press to share your sound as well.
Really?
Separate. Yeah.
Hi.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. So I got a button. Help me with that. Anybody know?
You're on a computer. It's going to be under your, you have your control bar. You should be able to go to, there should be the 3 dots that says more on the right side. And
So
it
it's
says
not a Zoom
share
thing.
computer sound.
Really?
No, sorry, it's in Zoom. Yeah, in Zoom.
So there's no more here, Ryan. What's going on? So share screen. I've only got share screen. Advanced sharing options?
Could be.
Nope. Sorry, guys. It says, can anybody figure this out? Help me. Because I did.
No, I made you host. You should be able to do it now.
Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Live on YouTube, live on Facebook. That's all I've got. Huh. That's interesting. Because I wanted to share another, a couple more videos on ski technique and then take some questions. But
Bill, if you look in your the same control bar that has your share screen,
yeah,
there's no 3 dots that kind of pulls up another menu.
Yeah, there's 3 dots and it has live on Facebook, live on YouTube. That's all I got.
Oh, okay. I don't know then.
Bill, sorry, it's on the button that actually says share screen. You should have an arrow on that now.
So, sorry, folks. Share sound. There it is. Optimize for video clip. Sorry. Now I learned something. All right. So, so without going through, I'm going to show you a little bit of this one, and this is again a good one that I've shared with a lot of kids.
So we're here in Smithers at the BV Nordic Center, and I'm going to do a demonstration and do some drills and some exercises for people that are just learning to skate ski. This is for people if you haven't taken a lesson before, or you've gone out and purchased new equipment and you get up to the ski trails and you're like, well, what do? I don't know what to do, what to start out with. Or maybe you've taken a lesson and you want to learn a few more drills that are going to get you progressing in the skate skiing technique before you take your next lesson. So I'm going to demonstrate a few of these for you and explain some of them and give you a few tips. So when you start off skate skiing, to keep things simple and not to complicate things by involving your poles when you're learning, we're going to start with some free skate, which is sort of the basis or the base for skate skiing without using any poles. And first thing I'm going to talk about is a little bit about the stance and the position and your balance. So when you're skate skiing, you want to have good bent knees but upright upper body. If you tend to bend forward too much, then you can't get over your skis and you're not in a position where you can adjust your balance very well. So nice straight upper body. Keep your upper body fairly straight, but really bent, nice bent knees. When you look down over top of your ski, basically you shouldn't see your foot if you look straight down over top of your knee. Okay. When you shift your weight from one ski to the other, you want to be over top of the ski like this, and you want to have that knee basically right over top of the ski and balanced over that ski. And when you shift your weight to the other ski, you want to be doing that as well too. Now that might be a little bit hard to do to begin with, but that's optimally what you want to have for positioning. So when you're striding from one ski to the other, you want to try and stride onto a nice flat ski and try and maintain that as long as you can. The problem is when you're starting out to be a beginner and your balance is not that good on the ski, when you stride from one ski to the other, the problem is that you're striding onto that one ski and you're on edge like so. And it's really hard to maintain your balance when your ski's on edge like that. The other thing is you don't get a very good glide because the whole ski's not on the snow. So when you're doing your stride from one ski onto the other, you want to think about getting a nice flat step onto that ski and maintaining that, getting your knee over top of the ski. So when you're doing the free skate, when you shift your weight from one ski to the other, you want to have an upright body as your weight transfer. And then when you're pushing from one off to the ski to the other, you're not pushing, you're not doing a back motion, not pushing back like you would classic skiing or maybe even ice skating. What you're basically doing is you're pushing forward and out like that. So once you're getting the push off the ski correctly, when you shift your weight onto one ski, you want to project your body in the direction of the way the ski is going. So project your body in the way that the ski is going. Upright body, knees bent, knees bent.
Okay. Cool. So those of you that, I mean, obviously, David, you're gonna know, I mean, all that stuff. And so I'd look to anybody who would say they're an intermediate. And what was different about what you saw there? Something new? Anything new for anybody who skis? Anyone, really? Beginners?
I do find it, I'm intermediate, I'd say, and I do find it hard to get off the edge.
Are you a hockey player?
No, I'm a terrible skater, so that doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Got to see you on ice. Right.
Yeah. Anybody else have that still surviving with that inside edge as a push?
Yeah, I would say, sorry, Bill, it's Pat here. I would say that's been the most challenging thing for me to grasp is, and I did come from hockey. I grew up in hockey. I started skiing when I was probably 16. And I had this conversation with some of the athletes the other day when I was teaching them to ski, and trying to get that idea of a flat ski and as long a glide on that flat ski as you can. And even trying to demonstrate it, I have a hard time balancing because I just want to get on that inside edge and push off.
One of the things that, I mean, and I'll ask maybe David for some ideas too, but one of the things I used to think of was trying to ski bow-legged. So I would literally try to visualize myself and really lower the center of gravity. And I heard him talk about, a lot of times you'll hear coaches say, bend your knees. I actually learned to say, bend your ankles. And I know what he said, like you shouldn't be able to see your feet. But if you talk about bending your ankles, we have more proprioceptive ability, so I can feel my ankles bending, but we can't really feel our knees bending. So that's for any sport, like volleyball, whatever. I always say bend your ankles. And then if you get your body weight low and kind of operate like a gyroscope, but I literally, when I first started trying to do this, I would picture myself bow-legged. So it's literally turning the feet, like that. Anyone else have any hints? I mean, and maybe David, in terms of helping us get a flat ski, other than just really thinking about it and practicing.
Bill, one of the things I know that Kathy has joined as well, that we both struggle with, and I find a real comparison with paddling. Like when I'm paddling, I'm uncomfortable having the blade out of the water.
Yeah.
And so I drag the blade back. And so when I'm skiing, often I won't keep it flat long enough to get the full glide. And so I'll be rushing the next step.
For sure.
And so I'll be doing lots of extra effort.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not comfortable enough with the balance to commit to keeping it flat long enough and taking advantage of that glide. And so it reminds me of paddling so much.
Yeah. And that's the other one. I mean, sorry, go. The other one was the flat ski as long as you can to kind of exhaust that glide, because we want to be able to use that potential energy. We've got a lot of money spent on wax, so we got to use that wax, let that ski glide. Again, that's the whole idea about, and reduce our rate. That's what I learned from Gord, is like go slow to go fast, right? So slowly. And
so Bill, I can say two things.
Yep.
So you said earlier, go slow to go fast. And I think that's really a big key. I mean, we all want to get moving, but if you do this on a little bit of a downward slope so that you can really just glide and not push. So you're just going back and forth to side and not feeling that you have to push, because the ice skaters are the worst, trying to push back. If you want to think of something like in paddling, you're using the paddle, you're using that back foot as the anchor, and you're pushing the boat ahead. You're moving your center of weight, center of mass forward. You're not trying to push back with your foot. And just like you said, ski bow-legged. Well, the other sort of thing to visualize is trying to touch the snow with your pinky toe. So trying to reach when you're stepping forward, trying to put your pinky toe on the snow. So those are a couple of visualizations.
Pinky toe on the snow. I like that. I like things that rhyme too. That's a new one. I do, when I work with beginners, I do have them on a little bit of a decline. David, that works really well, because you're taking something, and when we coach paddling, you want to take care of things for the athletes. Like we often talk about, get the balance taken care of by giving them a boat that's stable so that you can work on propulsion, right? And I think by taking care of the, by having them ski a little bit on a nicely groomed, downhill grade, that was really good. But I love the pinky toe in the snow. That's really neat. Anybody else? So that's about, flat skis. And I think, that's one of the keys, because flat ski as long as you can. I mean, you saw that video. Is anybody that started skiing, is anybody here, when you began with poles, and you're still going with poles?
Yeah, so Bill, I took a couple of lessons with skate skiing, and it's interesting that he started off in that demo without poles, which you're talking about. And now that I think back about, what the emphasis was, it wasn't on the knee over the ski. And, that gives me a new perspective the next time I go out and, experiment excuse me, with a skate ski, that, that's really important because it was putting I think they were just trying to get us moving and putting it all together. But then the polling technique was demanding as well. So as you know, there's a rhythm to that. So the knee over the ski to make it flat, I think was a critical step.
Yeah, I mean, weight shift is everything. And when I watch people ski and they're push, whether, it's Chris and you are shifting weight, but you're truncating the stroke, so to speak, or the push. If you can lengthen and really work on weight shift and get, that, and I used to just make sure I was trying to take my sternum out over my knee over the ski. And then I think sternum over and find that pendulum kind of feeling and just let it happen. And as David said, if you can do it on a bit of a decline, there's no effort. So you've taken away that need to actually generate forward motion. You're just falling onto the ski. And if you can do that, you can see me now, even now going back and forth, I think it just it happens. And, but a lot of times when we get into like a one-off lesson, they do need to get you, like they got another one in an hour and they want to kind of get everything going. So they will often start with everything there. I never do that, even if I have a 1 hour lesson. I don't know about, but David, are there times when you would start people with their poles? Like if you're a beginner or even working with intermediates on?
Very, very beginner. People that maybe have started a little bit later who just are really not confident standing on skis. I'll let them use their poles just to balance. Yeah. But as soon as someone is able to basically stand up, get rid of those poles until they can skate.
Yeah. And I ask, all of you, like, go out for a ski, and literally do, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 kilometers without your poles, and even the climbs, right? Because it's, most of us run. It's not fun. You're just herringbone up the hill, but you'll learn a ton without the poles. The poles, again, when you take the poles away, you're not thinking about two things. You're not falling on your poles, and you can really work on the lower body and all the things to do. So definitely, I would have you go out, and often I'll go out even for a good workout when I'm, an intermediate to advanced skier, just without poles, because it's a super good workout. Now, as paddlers, we want to introduce the poles as soon as possible, because it's very similar, that push down with both poles, whether it's, and typically, there's a number of different ways, there's 2 skate, 1 skate, the old offset. Some of this stuff I didn't, we can get into that if you want, but really what we want to be able to do is ski, push yourself onto a ski, take a step on another ski, push yourself onto a ski, take a step. The other thing I've done, and David will laugh at this, so when I started teaching, I would count, and I would kind of bastardize the 2 skate. And 2 skate just means there's 2 steps to 1 push, right? So you're push, step, step, push, step, step. And what I would do is make it simpler. And this actually worked with some beginners, and we weren't worried about going to the World Cups and skiing. And I would stand, and I'd have standing in that position. This is after we've done a lot of skiing on 2 skis. And I would have stomp with a ski as I hit with the poles. And I would have them go 3 and then 1 as a step. That's essentially, hitting with 3 points, 2 poles and 1 foot is really offset. Am I correct, David? Like it's.
That is exactly the offset, yes.
Yeah, it's a bastardized version of what. So I would teach that, and I would have some of my kids in high school doing well on the high school circuit, skiing that way all around the course. So when skiing first went to skating, that's what we learned. And Chris might tell me too, like that 3-1, 3-1 was the way it goes. Then we got into, 1 skate where you're pushing onto a ski, pushing onto a ski, pushing onto a ski, and that really will challenge your balance. And that was kind of it. And then they get into a very efficient 2 skate. And the difference between the offset and the 2 skate is you're going 2 poles and skate, skate, push, skate, skate. So it's a different rhythm. So you hear me going 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, and you can say this to yourself, or push, skate, skate, push, skate, skate, push, skate, skate, or push, 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 push as I'm skating. Those are the 3 things. If you could do each of those things, great. when do I do the 3-1-3-1? Up the hill, because you're stepping, you're not really gliding. I mean, I've seen lots of good skiers two skate up hills, but so does anybody have any questions about the three different types of stroke? Or so you've got the 3-1-3-1, which is called offset. And the reason it's called offset is we used to kind of have one hand up in front of us with the pole out there, and it was very much like paddling, right? So if you were to hold the paddle like this, right? So my one pole is out there, my other pole is kind of back here. So one pole tip is in front of this, or kind of at my left foot, the other one's in behind. So it was very much like this motion. And that's how I learned to ski. And I even had, and David will laugh, I even have these old Swix paddle grip poles that became illegal on the World Cup scene that literally have, I'm like this and not like this. And I that's how I skied for years, 3-1-3-1 around the whole course. So, I mean, if the goal is to get a great workout, that might be enough. What I would love you to do is go look at some video on the difference between offset, two skate, and just that can be in your repertoire. The one skate, if you want to try that, great, but it's used for, sprinting, right? It's you saw some of the guys in the video going push, 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 push. And that's, it's a lot of fun, but I still end up, even though I've skied for years, falling over a lot of times. Any questions about anything I said there? Comments?
Just a comment about the whether to use poles or not. I guess every year, or when you're starting, every year when I get out, I find that I've lost my rhythm, and that it takes me a while before, you talked about the hips or the pendulum. It's that feeling when you're transferring the weight efficiently, you're sort of swinging, and it's just coming naturally, that spending a little bit of time, although, as a paddler, I want to use my arms, but I find that if I spend a little more time without the poles, it forces me to get the rhythm, and then I'll be able to take, once that sort of comes back a bit, then I can, take advantage of, fully skiing with. I don't know, maybe nobody else forgets how to do it, or their body doesn't forget how to do it over the summer, but I sure do.
Well, it's good for all of us to start that way. Sorry, who was going to talk? Yeah, I think it's good for all of us to kind of start that way. And so I'm looking at maybe Cormac or Ryan, go.
Yeah, Bill, I remember when I first started, and I still do it now as a paddler, just pounding like offset, right? You're pounding offset, uphill, downhill, doesn't matter. And I still like to skate. And then I went with an instructor when we were in BC a couple times, and he just got some fun drills to do one skate. And it just became like, it was different. It was no longer the paddler just hammering. It was like gliding. And I try and do that every time when I first start, just to remember that glide, whether I stay with it or not. But is there one drill you could suggest to? Because I think that glide and that weight transfer is actually really important for us as paddlers too. But one skate is difficult. Like I know what you're saying when you get off balance. You feel. Is there a drill you can think about it?
Well, one skate, I wouldn't say it's necessary. I've skied for 30 years, and it's a number of times I've used one skate is like less. I mean, I do it for fun sometimes, but if I want to go out for a ski, I'm going two skate. So it's push, step, step, push, step, step, and then offset. So, with this group here, I mean, I want to get to some questions, but, maybe David, I'll defer, and I am cheating a bit because I'm sure David has a good drill for two skate. So I'll switch from one skate to two skate.
Other things, like private
So
jet.
I can say that for ones, so two skate, you've already said is two steps for every pole.
Yeah.
And then one skate is a pole for every step. Well, how about half skate? So you force yourself to double pull twice on each side when you're one skating, because the biggest problem with one skaters is they're falling off their glide ski too soon. So if you can stay balanced for 2 poles on your one skate before you switch, then you're doing it right.
Push, 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 push. That's yes. You're blowing the dust off my memory. That's a good one for what. And again, because what I'll do is try this, and I'm throwing myself up into the snow. Yeah, so half skate would be a good drill for one skate. For two skate, which is most of what you're going to do, for me, it's just, and it depends. I've taught myself for the most part. So I watched a guy named Ed Johnson, great teacher at Hardwood. And so it was mostly the rhythm. You heard me say 3-1, 3-1. I get the kids to stand there and go 3, 3, 3 with their left foot. Usually I have them, they can do whatever foot, 3, 3, 3. And then I go 3, 1, 3, 1, and get them to do that without moving, standing in a kind of a, with the skis out like this. And then, I get them to do it standing still, where I'll go 2 pulls, step, step, 2 pulls, step, step. And you can actually, it's like a clapping drill, like we will rock you hitting, so I just get them to find the rhythm, right? So I would get a bunch of guys, and I was, Cormac and, all these kids, and we'd do that as a group, standing in a circle. And when they get the rhythm and when they can kind of do that thing in their mind with the rhythm, then I send them out to practice it by themselves, right? So it's like pull, step, step, pull, step, step. So I'm doing that sitting in a chair right now. So you can do that with your pulls and your skis, because they've already done step, 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 by just skiing around without the pulls. So now I get the pulls and we go, and I also teach them, and I walk around and I work on where they hit with the pole. So and I think that's really important, because a lot of people will reach out, especially paddlers, and try to, and I don't know if Lucas or Cormac can tell me that, like, when you try to pull, are you pulling with your arms out in front, or did you try that at the beginning? And did someone tell you that it's much stronger to have a little bit to have that crook in the arm, right? When you hit with the pull. One of you guys tell me, how did you first start pulling?
I first tried the far out in front, but I find I get it caught in between my skis a lot. It's really awkward. I fall on my face when I do that.
So when you learn to paddle, right? We start by it's by axiom of balance, right? We don't reach way out and it's the same thing. Now, we're not going to put our paddle on the wrong side of our boat probably, but what'll happen is, if we all I would say is work in a small circle here, and I talk to the kids, but again, we do it just standing still, and I'll literally just have them, stomp, like go with their poles here, and then I'll have them stomp with their feet and go with their poles here. So I'm having them literally in here. And what I have them notice is where all the marks in the snow are, it's right beside their feet. So they really and they're like, really? I thought I'd have to reach way out, especially paddlers, because that's our nature. So again, Ryan, what I do is get them to go and learn to hit with 2 at the time. That's another thing that we don't want to assume, because a lot of them are just awkward. So 2, 2, 2, step, 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 and then I go 2, step, step, 2, step, step, and we do it in a group. It's like boom, 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 and you can play with this. Then you send them out by themselves. David, anything to add to maybe help the beginner get better at the 2 skate?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on the 1 skate versus 2 skate, and just leave it at that.
Okay, cool. All right. So
I just wanted to add that the quick acceleration on batting the ice is quite similar to sledge hockey. So I love that.
Yeah, for sure. So that's, anything else? I'd maybe open it up to questions at this point, and I can help with what I know.
Bill, what would you or I guess anybody, what would you, that if you were starting a paddler on skiing, would you get them doing classic first or skating? Is there any idea that classic or skating, which of them is more suitable for paddling?
My personal feeling is that, so skating is a much, so waxing is much easier with skating.
Yeah.
It's a little bit cooler. I mean, you know, and that's the other thing the kids like. I mean, there's a reason why high school racing is freestyle. And when we go freestyle, you can do either one, but most of the kids skate. So I would start them with skating. I just think it's funny because, and I'm not maybe a skiing purist. I started in classic and it certainly worked great, but I just find, you know, as Ingrid said, the amount of, you know, the aerobic power, you know, power output is huge in skating because you're pushing down and you've got this circle of power. It's more similar to paddling. So you got easier waxing, conditions, when conditions change, it's not as, horrible. And you don't have to know more about waxing. I mean, I know there's, you know, you've got these great skin skis now. You've got some great equipment out there that eliminate the need to even wax. But I think you need to be a little more of a technician with classic, beyond even the skiing. And that's I'm a little bit more ignorant that way because, like I said, the last time I classic skied was, I've gone out a couple times, you know, with groups because I had to, and I trained for CSM 1 year. But I'd say skating.
See, I started, in the 70s, and remember when Bill Koch, the US guy, came out and blew everybody away by skate skiing.
Yeah.
And at that point nobody else was doing it, and then they, they made it illegal or split it up after that. And the argument that was made back at that point was, well, for a paddler, particularly for a kayak paddler, the classic where you're regularly alternating, equal pressure on both sides was more ideally suited to training for the kayak. I agree with you in terms of, if I can, I have a friend who loves waxing, and I'd love skiing with him because he'll spend hours preparing them. And I just, that's the only time my skis ever get waxed. And so that doing the skating, you're immediately more of a workout, go to a hill and try and skate up the hill. It's to me, and it probably shows that maybe I'm more of a beginner than an intermediate. It's a little bit more brute force. I remember seeing Ryan the first time he ever did it at Dagmar, Ryan, when you tried skate skiing, and that was pure brute force.
Yeah. Again, I just find it easier to start, a little more fun. You've got mostly young people we're working with, in our clubs. It's a little cooler. The other thing is, a couple of people mentioned they go off and ski on like terrain that's not groomed. So you don't have track set. And for me, it's a little bit easier to go out and just skate. That's just, again, I'm on here because I'm a paddler that skis. Remember that. I'm not an expert. And I use skiing to burn calories and to increase my fitness. That's it. Any other questions? We got about a little over 5 minutes.
Yeah, Bill, I had a question in earlier, and this might be weird because I know you're not a nutritionist, but something that we probably don't think of very well is refueling while we're skiing, right? Or even hydration while we're skiing. So we don't, as paddling, perhaps we're at that 90 or 60, 70, 75 minute for workouts, but once you get past 60 minutes, we should be refueling, right? And skiing could be 2 hours, it could be longer. So what were some of the common like easy snack things that you've seen?
Don't do what I did once and try to eat in a little 100-kilometer thing at Hardwood, is try to eat a bar with the pole attached, and the pole hit the snow in front of me, and I ended up with almost a broken nose. I think it was a Luna bar too, so it wasn't even so I think again, we go do your research. It's very personalized. I mean, when I ride mountain bikes, I use a certain concoction, the bars. I mean, really, it's just about and for us, stop. Have a gel, have a bar. I use the the belt, the gels and bars, and I do use some. So I have a bottle holder, and I always carry. I mix a little bit of salt and a little bit of cayenne and some and water. I just use regular water. I try not to use the E-load or the sugary stuff. And that's just me. So I put lemon and water and some cayenne and maybe some salt in there. But I use bars. I use whatever works for me. You can take a banana if you want. Just make sure you keep it in it. But remember also that you've got to put it where it's not going to freeze. So that's why the gels and bars work, and that's kind of it for me. But definitely on the usually when you're out for a long time, don't wait till you're hungry either or thirsty, obviously. So just regularly, if you can do it while you're skiing, just get something in. If not, just stop. Try not to do anything where you're gonna help yourself crash or knock your teeth out, because you're not in a race. Does that help?
Bill, it's interesting that you mentioned about the freezing. So yeah, with water bottles, sometimes they do freeze. So, put a mitten or something over top of it.
Yeah.
When you're thirsty.
Yeah. I have a good investment is one of those little belts, and I have it, and it's insulated, and it's got a little thing, and I can put whatever I want in there. The coach's drink or the athlete's drink.
A wineskin works as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what yes. Except this one's insulated, so it doesn't quite, but alcohol doesn't freeze, does it?
What's the current thinking about pole length? Like when for skiing, that when we started many years ago, you had crazy tall poles, and I don't know, how long would you expect poles compared to your height to be these days?
So wow, that's interesting. I haven't done this for a while.
Just below your nose.
Yeah, just below your nose is what I always
standing on skis. Yeah, standing. Yeah, just below your nose or to your earlobe, whatever is that kind of. That's where the strap should be, right? So the basket on the snow, the effective length of your pole is the top of the strap. So that should be upper lip kind of thing to top to earlobe kind of height.
Thank you. Nose and chin is what I typically say, but earlobe would be perfect. Again, because a lot of times you got kids that are renting stuff or getting stuff from, we borrow, and so the in here is good. Then obviously under the arms for the classic.
Oh.
So anything else? I gotta wrap her up soon, and what I will say is in terms of, I've got a couple of videos I can send to Ryan. You can put them on the, on this site. One of them is a waxing video. Again, it's glide waxing for skate skiing. We can YouTube pretty well anything we want. There's really good stuff out there. And I encourage everyone just to get as much time as possible on snow, but practice the technique. It's not enough just to get out there and grunt and say, oh, I'm not a skier, I'm a paddler. I mean, I did that with swimming. And because what I'm hoping that you'll do is, like me, the young ones on here, is you'll find skiing for life, because I ski more than I paddle. And, it became that sport that I can go out and do and just love to do. And it leads to skills in other areas too. And on, and again, I ended up alpine skiing quite well because I could cross country ski, right? So, yeah. Any more comments? Anything?
I can just say, oh.
No, go ahead, David, please.
I was just going to say, just like we talked about at the beginning with your feet, don't think of pushing backwards. Think of moving your center of body forward, swing your hip, move your other foot forward. Don't think of pushing backwards. Same thing with the poles. Don't think of pushing backward. Think of you're hanging on your poles and you're pulling your feet forward through your poles. So they're your anchor. You're pulling your weight, pulling your feet through your poles kind of thing, rather than trying to push backwards kind of thing. So you're really using the core to bring your feet up, to bring your feet forward. Yeah.
Same as this, right? So press down and as Thomas Budai would say, pole vault, right? The pole vault idea and paddling, the pole vault idea, pressing down and lifting over top. And that's the cool thing. I mean, as you're out skiing, you can practice your paddling as well, because there's a lot of that weight transfer that a lot of us don't do in the kayak or the canoe that we're also not doing on snow. So that's why I encourage you to ski as well as you can technically. Okay.
So folks, if anyone does have questions, other ones, Bill's always great anytime to answer stuff. So you can send to me if you want, if you don't have Bill's contact, and certainly I'll forward that on. I realized as we went through this that I've kind of asked a little bit the impossible here of if we were all skiers and I asked a skier to teach us paddling in a room virtually within an hour, it would be pretty difficult. So I really appreciate it, Bill. You're in a room and trying to teach us skiing, and David, thank you for joining too. David's a great Carlton Place paddling family, but Dave is actually the president of, I think you're still a president, David, of a Kinetic Nordic ski club there. So knows his stuff. So thank you, David, for joining us as well. That's it. Again, if you have questions, you can send to me, and get out there and ski. Have some fun with it. Enjoy being outdoors. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks for doing this, guys.
Okay. It's nice to see everybody. Stay strong. Stay safe.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Ryan.